Welcome to Cocktail Hour. I'm Andy.
And I'm the Rev.
Well, it's at that time, another episode of Cocktail Hour. And tonight's broadcast is brought to you by red wine.
Red wine.
Exactly. I'm having a little Lambrusco, actually. I wanted something cold and sweet.
I'm having a nice Pinot Noir. It is good. You know, it maybe not quite as strong, you know?
Yeah, not as heavy.
Yeah, that's it. Heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So
my exes, that's all she drank was Merlot.
Really?
Yeah, so I pretty much stay away from it like the Black Plague.
You know, my wife can't take the smell of wine, so it makes it a little difficult for me because I gave up drinking beer because beer makes me fat, and wine doesn't so much. So, but it makes it tough. It makes it tough because she doesn't want to be that close to me. So I just go brush my teeth a lot.
Gargle.
Yeah.
Listerine. Well, today we're going to feature Kim Pritekel, right?
I've been saying it to myself for the last week. Pritekel.
That works. Pritekel. P-R-E-E. Tech as in technical. All.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Which makes me feel bad for the thousands of times I've said Pritekel.
Yeah, because it looks like it would be Pritekel.
Yeah, easy names. My previous last name before I took my wife's was Hell also, and I was called many horrible things. But so I can understand that. And my first name, I'm called Cherry so much it makes me cringe.
I won't even talk about my last name. Seriously. It's Italian, it's long, and I can't tell you how many times it's been slaughtered.
Aww.
I know, it's just sad.
I feel bad for you now. Well, we can at least help one other person by spreading the word on how to properly pronounce her name. Kim Pritekel.
Pritekel. I like it.
All right. So that's who we're talking about today. But before we get into our conversation about her work, what have you been reading lately?
I decided to go back and read The Right Thing.
Oh, I love that one.
I know. You had mentioned it, if it wasn't in one of the previous podcasts, some conversation we had. And I thought, I know that I read that, when Christ was in swaddling clothes. But I didn't remember anything about it, so I decided to go back and read it. And I was like, yeah, that was a really good story. However, it was a little protracted. It could have been condensed a little bit more, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, but a lot of her work is that way. In case you were wondering what the hell we're talking about, we're talking about Susan Maher's work. Another one I learned how to say correctly. When you're reading shit, it doesn't matter how you say their name, but now that we're actually speaking, and it was in my review of All That Matters that I mentioned that.
I like that review, by the way.
Thank you. I love that story, and I was so happy when I got to the end and found that there was a whole nother section, another chapter or so of material that wasn't in the online version. Like I said in the review, I had to go back and look at the online version just to make sure that I hadn't somehow forgotten that. So that made it worth spending the money on it. I was so happy about that. What else? So you read The Right Thing. What else? Anything else the last couple weeks?
I went back and reread Kim's work, some of my favorites of her work. Trying not to get confused, but I did sneak in Cody Wolf's vampire series, and I can only think of the second book. It's called Bloodlines.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, it was very good, and it was very different than a lot of the other vampire stories that I've read that other people have done, and I really enjoyed it. And what really cracks me up is in the second book, she left it incomplete, but she ended it at the sex scene, which was okay by me. Because,
interesting.
It was very good, though. You don't feel cheated at the very end.
Who publishes that?
It's on her website, Cody Wolf's website.
Oh, are they published works? Are they
Nope.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I have to give that a shot.
I will send you a link.
Thank you. And we can put that in the show notes, so if anybody else wants to check that out. Let's see, I read Nightshade by Shay Godfrey, which you had recommended, and I published a review on it, but I wanted, that was something, we hadn't talked about it because I hadn't read it yet, but as it was getting closer to the end, and they're laying out, she's laying out some more of the the plot, and I'm watching the page numbers tick by, and I'm like, oh, this is bullshit. I don't see any. Is this a series? It better be.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I really enjoyed it, but I was reading it, and I'm like, oh man, there's only a couple of pages left. I don't know how they're going to finish this up without feeling like you were cheated.
Yeah, I did like it. I like her writing style. I like the genre. I like that a lot, and it was good. I enjoyed it. There better be a sequel. So, Ms. Godfrey, if you are paying attention and listening to this show, hook us up, honey. Let us know, when's a sequel coming out?
And why wouldn't she be listening to the show? Seriously.
I have no idea. I mean, really. Come on.
As a matter of fact, a little plug. Listeners, tell your friends about Cocktail Hour. Just saying.
So, let me see the other thing. So then I read All That Matters, because that was great. And then I read, I bought Unbreakable, which I had read online, and I don't think it was really much different. Blaine Cooper's Unbreakable. The formatting on the ebook was a bit off, and I found that before on some of Bella's older books that they're converting into ebook. But the story was good. One of the characters, her husband's name changed at least twice, which,
wait a minute. I read that. I didn't. I better go back and reread it.
Audrey's husband's last name changes to at least 2 different names. I think maybe 3. So, but I think that was the only issue. And I just like the story, and the characters are so good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy that story.
And then other than that, like you, I read, I had planned on rereading some of Kim's work, and I had intentionally skipped first because, she died, one of the characters dies. You know that she's dead because it starts out like that, and I just, I didn't want to do that. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of wish I hadn't have read it. I don't know, I had issues with. Well, there were a bunch of things that I had issues with, and are you ready? Shall we just jump on in? All right, let's just jump on in.
The water's fine.
All right. Well, there were a few things that got me about first, and again, I just want to be right up front about this. I have not read any of the published versions of her books. Because they're not available on ebook, and I'll take hits on this, and that's okay. I only buy ebooks.
Yeah, you're kind of an ebook snob.
I am, and it's not because I don't like paper books. I still have a bunch. I've got, I'm looking at probably a good 6 shelves jam-packed full. Now that I've been reading ebooks for a little while, the convenience, I read so much more because I'm able to take it with me everywhere. I don't need 2 hands to read, or even 1 hand to read. I can just set down the ebook reader and brush my teeth and do my stuff and, whatever else I want to do without having to do that. So, I still buy paper books for gifts and for my kid and, stuff like that, but for my personal reading, I only buy ebooks now. But PD Publishing, who publishes Kim's work, and a whole bunch of other great authors, they are currently working on getting ebooks out. So for those of you who are like me, who just want ebooks, be patient, they're coming.
That is good news.
So with that said, I've only read Kim's unpublished versions, and anybody who has knows two things. One, she's a great storyteller. She really is. Two, the grammar, typos, missing words, name changing, not having clear demarcations from moving past and present, and who's speaking when. Those, you know those things. They're just everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
And for a person like me, who I've stopped reading good stuff because I can't get through the typos and the missing words and the misused words. I can't do that with hers. I get to the point where I don't even notice them anymore.
Yeah, she's such a compelling storyteller that if you abandon her work because of the flaws, you're really missing out.
Absolutely. But first was difficult because, it moves constantly back and forth, constantly. And there were no, at least in the version on PDA Fiction where I get all of her stuff because it's compiled for my e-reader, there were no demarcations. And there were several times I had to go back and forth trying to figure out, first of all, when the hell this was and who the hell is talking. So that was a bit rough. And again, I had a hard time connecting with the story on that one. I did cry a couple times, so,
I did not read first, that I recall.
Okay.
But I did go back and reread some of my favorites. Of the ones I did not reread that I remember liking, she had a ghost story at one on the Athenaeum, which has about, I think I counted 30 stories in the Athenaeum alone. And that's just under her penning the story. But she's actually paired up with two other authors to bring stories to the public. Alexa Hoffman is one, and Maria Ottoby is another.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that. I know the Alexa Hoffman one. One of, actually two of my favorites are with Alexa Hoffman. So which ones did you read?
I read Twilight again.
Okay.
And I read Touchdown there.
Okay.
Twilight has got to be my very favorite of her online stories. It touched something. It was the first one I ever read that she did, and it just touched something in me. I liked the Christine character because she was just so tormented. I like that torture character. Christine just, to me, exemplified what a lost and bruised soul would be like.
Yeah, I know several people that count Twilight as their favorite. I enjoyed it, but I don't know. It didn't touch me as much as some of the others did. I really liked Control. And I think the first 12 chapters, Alexa Hoffman is credited with helping on that one. I think the themes in Control touched me a lot. A lot of, the child abuse and the military aspect of it. I don't know, there was just something about that one that really touched me, and it took me a while to get that one out of my head. And the other one that I liked with Alexa Hoffman was Wild. I think my favorite was The Collector.
That was a very good story with very dark themes.
And she did it so well. The Collector, if you haven't read it, is about a woman who's abducted by a serial kidnapper, and she's kept in the basement with some other women. And right before she's abducted, she meets a drifter named Remy, who Remy has some psychic abilities. And shortly after they meet, I think what is her name? Hold on. I have it here. I think it's Julie. Yeah, Julie is abducted, and Remy is able to see things through Julie's eyes. So she's able to see some of the house and some of the things that are going on, and Remy eventually, tries to help the authorities find her. So the first half of the book or the story is Julie being abducted, and then the second half is, the recovery of that. And I didn't necessarily feel the connection with Remy and Julie. I don't know, there was something off there, but I mean the visuals that you got, she really told a great story in that one, I thought.
Yeah, she did. She really did.
And that's actually that's her next one being published in the next few months, I think, at PD Publishing. So if you go to PD Publishing, you can see all the books that she's got ready right now. She's got First, Lessons, Storm, another one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Twilight is there. 1049 Club, another one of my favorites.
Yeah, I counted 5. Did I miss one?
There's and then they've got Connection. That's what they're calling Control. So or not Control. I'm sorry. The Collector will be called Connection, and then she's got another one available summer of 2011 called After Shadow. And I looked at the little blurb that they have about it, and it looks like it's a psychic type thing. So that could be good.
Follows a theme there.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I like about Kim's work, and we kind of touched on this on the last show, is she brings a lot of the same characters into different stories. Like 1049 Club has somebody from First, Beth Sayers, the woman that actually dies. She has in 1049 Club. She has Garrison and Keller and Parker from Control, and then two shorter stories that she has featuring a dancer named Christian, which is Dance With Me and Play It Again, Gray. Christian is in 1049 Club as well. So you got a slew of characters.
Potpourri.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I did reread 1049 Club, and I remember that when they talked about the people on the island that were stranded, it was very, very intriguing, and I enjoyed it. But when they started going back and having the reminiscing of what they did before they were stuck on the island, or what the relatives were doing trying to find their loved ones, I kind of got, it was stilting in the story. I had to page through some of it because I just couldn't reread it again like that.
Yeah, we read for the book group that I belong to, that was the September book. And and again, I didn't buy it because it wasn't an ebook, so I reread the online version, and a lot of the people said the same thing that you're saying now. There were the going back and forth, the number of characters. Personally, I liked all of those things, but most of the folks in the book group had a difficult time either with the going back and forth or the number of characters. I think one or two had an issue with both. And I think everyone had a reaction to the mini diary that, was it Denny? Was that her name?
Yeah.
That when Denny went on her road trip, that the voice that Denny used in her diaries was so completely different to the voice that we came to know And you mean we understood why the diaries were there to take us through her journey and all of that. But personally, I think that probably could have been better done in another way.
Yeah, probably. Or left out entirely.
Well, I mean, because it was she had gone through, I mean, like everybody, she had lost so much once she got back.
Yeah, no kidding.
And and she needed to move across country to get, in closer vicinity to where she needed to be. Mm-hmm. And so that took care of that. But she also needed to be able to put her past to bed, because she had believed so much and put so much into, had wasted so much time maybe, and needed to come to grips with that too. I don't know, but
I don't know that it was a waste of time. It's just her life did a 180.
Yeah.
And trying to find her place in that new life was her struggle.
Yeah.
And I thought Kim did a good job with the Denny character overall. And I really enjoyed the Denny. As a matter of fact, it goes back to what I said about the people that were on the island, how they forged friendships and alliances and struggled together and overcame really different cultural issues, mm-hmm. much less sexuality issues. And it was a really good character study in, it was almost like a big sociological experiment. I mean, it was very mm-hmm. good. It was very well done. Mm-hmm. And if she would have just concentrated, I think, in enriching their lives on the island and then wrapped up everybody and what happened when they got back, I think it would have been a much crisper story than what it was.
Yeah, it's absolutely one of my favorites. Yeah. Once they're off the island, it's like the collector, the serial kidnapper one. The first half of the book, I could not put it down. You're so engrossed in it, and that's how I felt about 1049 Club too. While they were on the island, and focusing on the people on the island, it was I really found it intriguing, and I didn't want to put it down. Once they were off the island, and once Julie is rescued, it's not so much for it. It wasn't as exciting anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true.
So there was. Did you read Passion's Fool? Have you read that one?
I'm sure I have.
That one I thought it's kind of short and hot, and there's some. I enjoyed the. There's some phallus action in there. I enjoyed that. I enjoy those. So Passion's Fool is that. Gosh, I don't know.
Well, that's the Middle Ages story.
Yeah, I think so. Where the tall, dark one is passing as a man, and it begins at essentially the wedding to the short blonde one, and there's
Sarah.
Yeah. Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
Cheater. Yeah. So yeah, and then they on the wedding night. She does a good job. She performs well, and they like it. So that's and I'm going to say,
yeah. And
when Kim puts in her disclaimers, don't read this one at work. Don't.
Did you try to read this one at work?
I have a very stressful job sometimes, and I read that one at work. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Well, part of it anyway.
Walk around the block.
I'm red-faced a lot. People just think I'm angry.
Well, it worked for you. They probably have that avoidance thing. Oh yeah, don't go around the red.
They avoid me pretty well anyway. So I finished. What did I read? I read first, and then I decided, you know what? You better catch up and review some of the other ones. So then I decided I was going to read Bible Thumping, which is how we got the red wine in the first place, which the conversation wasn't in the last show, but, we were talking about Kim's work and Bible Thumping and communion wine, and that's how we came up with the red wine.
Yeah, it's true. So I just cut it down to the church, taking wine out of the church.
Yeah, see, so people just think you're just a heathen, a horrible sinner.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I have a little confession to make. I started reading fan fiction really late. I found it in, I think, the winter of 2005. I think that's when I found it. And when I finally discovered Kim, I think the first one I read was Twilight, and that's probably why I liked it so much. Mm-hmm. Then the second one was Bible Thumping. And I remember after I read Bible Thumping, I decided to take the author up on her give me feedback, and that was the first piece of fan mail I ever sent, was to Kim, about those two stories.
Aww.
Yep, it's true. I fed the bard.
Good for you. I try to do that a lot. And even when I'm doing reviews, if it's something that really touched me, I'll reach out to them in addition to, or, sometimes instead of even, because it's important. And even, books that I read, I find that lesbian authors will take the time to write you back, ask you questions, and it doesn't feel like they're just kind of patting you on the head and sending you away. I've never gotten that feeling from any lesbian author that I've been in communication with, whether it's just, hey, I just wanted to tell you that I really liked your book, or, this touched me, or whatever. But I read a really good book not that long ago by a mainstream author named Gillian Flynn, and the book was great. It was called Dark Places. I told you about this, and you need to read that.
I know I have it.
It's a very good book. I was really shocked by how much I liked it, and how well it was written. I stumbled upon it in the public library, and it was great. And I went out to her website, and I sent her an email through the contact me thing, and I told her how I felt. Never heard a word back.
No kidding.
Never heard a word back.
Crickets.
Yeah, so it was. But I've, like I said, I've never had that experience with a lesbian author. Well, that's not true. Patty Henderson. Miss Patty, I sent you an email through your contact me on your website, but see, here's the thing, and this is why I hesitate to mention her, because there was something screwy happening. I'm not 100% sure she got it.
No, she may not have, because my communication with Patty Henderson, she's always replied or responded, and she's very generous.
Yeah.
I really like Patty. She's a very skilled storyteller.
You aren't kidding. I went to Lulu and I bought the first Brenda Strange book, and I really liked it a lot. And then I've since gone back and from Amazon and got the second one and the first one in the Karnov series, I think they are.
Oh, she has a second one on the Karnov series out?
I don't know, but I just got the first one. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't think so.
I read the first one, and she and I had a very detailed chat on Facebook about the first novel. And my impressions of it, and where I thought she was going, and kind of deconstructed a couple of the characters. And it was very interesting conversation.
Excellent. I haven't read them yet. I've been so busy trying to keep up with all the stuff that you want to do on the show that
Oh, okay. It's just me. Yeah.
It's your fault. So
it's always my fault.
It is your fault. Absolutely. But I really liked her stuff too. That was good. I like the darker stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
And the prologue to what is it? The burning of her sin. Is that what that's called?
I have, yeah. Well, they do. She may have a prologue in that book, but I have not read it.
No. Oh, I'm just trying to remember. I think it's the burning of her sin.
I like that title.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, The Burning of Her Sin, the first in the Brenda Strange series. Yeah, there's a prologue in there that I had my wife read, and she's like, holy shit, I want to read this book. And again, the wife doesn't read, so, no, she hasn't read the book, but, she said she wanted to, so that's good.
Yeah.
The prologue just really grabbed me, and then I couldn't put it down, so that was really, really good. I guess that's kind of off topic there.
Well, off the topic, which you're known for.
I am.
Okay, so let's talk about Kim's work through the Athenaeum.
See, I never go there.
Oh well, see, you're missing out.
No, because I go to PDA Fiction again because then I don't have to compile anything. I'm on PDA.
But not everything is on PDA. Okay, so.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I noticed early on when I was reading Kim's work that she did a lot in the way of not coming out themes.
Coming of age.
Coming of age. That's
yes,
it.
Yeah.
She did a lot of coming of age work, and in that body of work, as I mentioned earlier, I really like Touchdown there. It's wholly unbelievable as far as, a girl being on a high school football team. She falls for a cheerleader who she doesn't really know, and how they have this whole getting to know you thing going on, and it was just so fun and so sweet, and you kind of suspend disbelief and you really enjoy it. But I must say, I kind of felt cheated on their whole prom night thing where they finally are able to get physically close and consummate the relationship. I don't know. It just seemed like it was anticlimactic.
I don't remember that part. I remember I did read it, and I think the thing that thinking back on it, I remember very little of it, but I remember the connection that they had and how, the football player character, was still, sensitive and soft, and that's really about all I remember out of it. I don't really remember any of the physical scenes, or most of the plot, apparently.
Well, we can move right the hell along if you like.
Well, no, but there are so many similar scenes or themes rather in a bunch of that work, like Bible Thumping, where you have the two teens, 15 and 16, getting to meeting, having that connection, and then they separate, which I don't think happened in Touchdown there. That was solely in the teen section, right?
Yes, they did not have they got together, it was tumultuous, and then they separated, and 10 years later, they fall in love again. There were several stories like that, where there was this 10-year gap between relationships, between when they ended and when they restarted a relationship, I guess I should say. Yeah,
and Bible Thumping was one of those, which I finished this morning, and then I started I Dare You and Double Dog Dare, the pair of those, and they're the same type of thing, except I think as I'm almost done with I Dare You, or that's not true. I'm about halfway done with I Dare You, but I remember Double Dog Dare was a bit more serious. I mean, there was some serious stuff in there, and I don't want to give that away. And Dance With Me and Play It Again, Gray. That's another one that's got the 10-year gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just after I've done with my exes 10 years later, I don't even remember their names. So, but if I see them, it's one of those. Oh my freaking God! I'm so glad that we are not an item anymore. Woo!
But that's because you weren't soulmates.
Yeah, okay, well, alright. I've got no defense for that, because
all of these
anything I say will get people out, just aggravated.
Well, that's because you also don't live in a romance novel.
No, I don't. No,
Thank God. I wanted to reread Storm. Shut up. I wanted to reread Storm, but I I think that one started out a little slow, and then I was running out of time. I had a busy week. I got to meet J.M. Redman on Wednesday.
I heard. Were you a Fawning fan? Did you have drool coming off your lip?
No, I don't do that. Yeah, I'm not much of a fangirl. She was very nice, in a reserved kind of way. And I don't want that to sound bad. You know, she just wasn't a bubbly kind of person. She just seemed kind of serious. But she was very nice and, read some from Watermark, the new Mickey Knight book, which I haven't read yet, but I absolutely will. And got a couple pictures, and she signed my autograph book.
Oh, my hell.
Yeah. But no, I mean it was nice. I had a bit of a political conversation. We had a nice crowd turnout. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun. One thing I wanted to say about Kim is that she's continuing to publish or to post things online. She's got a story going right now called Zero Ward, which I won't begin to read until she posts the final chapter.
Yeah, me neither. I don't do that chapter by chapter business.
No. I waited for quite a long time for Lost and Found to be finished, which was earlier this year, and I enjoyed it. I
haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed that you're right, that she's still putting stories out on the net for people to read, but also how she is reinventing herself. She's kind of like Madonna of the lesbian world. I mean, she's a writer, which we all know, but she's a producer and a director, too.
And a screenwriter.
Yeah, that comes under the writer category. But yes, she's a screenwriter, too.
It's different.
Yeah, she started a independent film company called Asp Films, LLC. And if you guys want to take a look at it, it's www.officialaspfilms.com. And she's got quite a bit of things out there.
I watched the trailer for Self-Portrait.
Did you like it?
Today. It looks interesting. Looks a little intense. It looks independent. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have that finished Hollywood feel to it. I mean, as far as just the. I mean, I'm just basing this off of the trailer, but it looked intense. It looked very interesting. Quite a bit of violence. It looked like. And at least a partial blowjob, from what I could tell. And what Kim had told us, we had asked her if she could give us a little bit of information on her career and what she's been doing, because I had read in she has one short story called The Gift, and in the disclaimer, acknowledgement, whatever section, she mentions that she's a librarian in a prison. So we asked her what she's doing, if she can give us some more information on her film career, and she's just been doing this for a few years,
mm-hmm.
and they're going to be working on a lesbian movie. And if you go to the website, and we'll make sure that there's links for it. If you go to the website, you can see all of the things that they've been working on. So let me see. I just want to. I'm just
Re-Evolution, Shadowbox, Marked. So
mm-hmm.
yeah,
and
she's been busy since 2006, I think. Her film, her independent company.
Yeah, and she does this with her business partner Kelly Neal. And if you look at the Self-Portrait website, you'll see that she was the editor on that project.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll make sure that that's out there. But yeah, she's done a lot of stuff, and if you haven't read anything by Kim, first of all, shame on you, and second of all, get your ass over to either PDA Fiction, the Athenaeum, Academy of Bards. I know that her new stuff is being posted chapter by chapter at the Academy, I believe. If I'm wrong, somebody will correct me. But do, because if somebody like me can get through the typos and the misused words like wonder instead of wander, and which is a regular, you can too, because I'm neurotic about it.
Yeah, she is a fabulous storyteller.
Absolutely. And, I was reading Bible Thumping. I didn't go back and check, but I would bet that Bible Thumping is probably one of the earlier ones that she had done, because you can see the maturity in the writing as she goes forward. I mean, you really can. The older stuff, and then if you read the newer things that she's come out with, like even Lost and Found, you can see the difference in the storytelling and the writing.
And we've grown up with her. That's nice.
And what?
And we've grown up with her.
Well, I'm even newer to this than you are.
Ah.
I've only been reading fanfic for, I think, about 3 years. So,
oh, wow.
Is there anything else we should talk about?
Well, Kim, no, but I did want to make a couple of notes, or I did make a couple of notes. Jill Johnstone died last month. She was 81. And for those of you that might not know who that is, it's a shame that the folks that pioneered the way for more gay visibility don't get enough press nowadays, so that the younger generation can really appreciate, the way that was paved for them. And Jill Johnstone was one of those people. She was an activist voice, and she was the first out lesbian that wrote for the Village Voice before it was queer or underground. And she wrote for them, and she was amazing. And she died. She was 81, and it's just a sad passing.
I'll be honest, I had never heard of her.
Well,
so shame on me.
Extra culture to the show.
Absolutely.
And on a lighter note, Wonder Woman, remember the woman we all had a crush on back in the 70s?
Yes.
She is coming back to TV.
Is she going to be gay?
Oh, let's hope. David E. Kelly, who, had several hits back in the 90s, one of them being Ally McBeal, has teamed up and signed a contract with Warner Brothers. So they're going to start a whole new series of Wonder Woman shows.
That's awesome.
I know. I'm like, what? Who's going to play Wonder Woman? Who is it?
I just want to know if what her outfit's going to look like, because wow, she was pretty hot back then. I don't know.
Linda Carter, I thought she was hot back in the day, and the older she's gotten, and for some reason, maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I find that older women are looking really, really sexy to me. I don't know, she's still got it.
I guess I liked her body, but I never really thought that. I mean, I know I'm going to catch shit for this, but I didn't really think that she was that very attractive. I know. I'm sorry.
Well,
Do you know who I think is a totally hot? God, if she's still alive, she's got to be like 80. But I don't care.
Bacall?
Who? No,
Bacall?
I don't really. Blondes aren't my thing.
Okay.
Olympia Dukakis.
Oh, she's still alive that I know of, yeah.
She's hot.
She has. There have been films where she doesn't look that bad. And she was in Steel Magnolias?
Yeah, I think for me it's more of no, I do. I think she's attractive, and she always plays that woman with such an attitude.
Yeah, and great quips too.
Yeah,
she always had great quips. Some of my favorite ones are in that damn Steel Magnolia movie.
She was great in Tales of the City also.
Oh yeah, that was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was very good.
We talked about the coming of age stories, and I had mentioned to you earlier I wanted to talk about the It Gets Better project.
Yeah, I did do a little research. I didn't know what the heck you were talking about.
Yeah, over the past month or two, there have been, I think 5 or 6 young gay kids killing themselves. Just had another one this week of a young out Rhode Island man who killed himself. So Dan Savage and his partner started the It Gets Better project, and I'm a regular listener to the Savage Love podcast, and if you're not, check it out because it's fantastic. So a couple of weeks ago, before he started his show, he was talking about Billy Lucas, who I believe was I think the first young kid who he hung himself in his grandmother's barn after he'd been bullied and it was told to why doesn't he just go kill himself, and so he did. And Dan made a point of saying, every time I hear about something like this, I just wish I had 5 minutes to talk to these kids, to tell them that it does get better, that, once you're out of school and you can get the hell away from all of these people who are bullying you and you have no power over, it gets better. And so he started this project where anybody, you, me, anybody, can do a short video, post it on YouTube under the It Gets Better project, and I've watched several of these, and they're great. And if it's something that speaks to you, I encourage you to do it. I do. And if it's not something that you feel comfortable doing, go watch a few. Spread the word. I've seen so many different things on Facebook over the last few days. Ellen DeGeneres is doing messages. There's other folks bringing awareness to these issues as far as legislation and policy work. There's a lot of stuff going on, and being gay is hard, and we all know that. For some of us, it's a hell of a lot harder than others. But we need to make sure that we're there for our young people. They need us. So,
thinking about how I felt in high school, it's a tumultuous time. I mean, you're trying to figure out where you fit in life as a whole. You have to make career decisions without having a lot of experience to move on to college and pick a profession. You've got raging hormones, and you've got peer pressure, and it's a very, very difficult time. And when you throw, I think I'm gay into the mix, it's just, wow, it's just tough. And I can see that this project that was started can be a very, very good thing, much less, a lifesaver for who knows how many kids that watch these videos.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And for those of you who have the ability to, check into your local community centers. There are gay and lesbian community centers all over the country. In almost every major city, there are community centers with youth projects. Get involved. Mentor some young kids. When I was in my mid-20s, actually closer to my late 20s, I became a mentor to a teen group, and it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. My wife and I had been together for a good 10 years at that point, and most of them had never come in contact with a couple with that kind of longevity. So a lot of these young kids don't get to see that type of thing. And even though gays and lesbians are in the media and we're more out and more visible, you just don't know when you can make a difference. So take the time, do something, because that could have been us. For our next show, oh, wait a minute, hold on, wait, okay, now, what the hell is going on with my bearded clam challenge? Come on, people. Now, I've seen comments about it. I've heard some different things going on, and I've got nothing. So, Andy, what did you think? I know you have issues. I know you have issues.
I do have issues.
Now, my co-host on Off Topic kindly drew me a bearded clam.
Yes, I did get that visual.
And you didn't comment on it, so I'm assuming that the hair was a bit much for you.
It was a bit much for me, yes. Actually, I thought what would be cuter would be to have a clam that's open so you could see the pearl. More of that whole subliminal, the subliminal thing.
Okay, yeah, I'll have her redo that. But see, now here's what I'm thinking. Okay. I want to sweeten the pot a little bit. Okay. All right? Okay. I'm just talking short story here. Okay? Short. It can just be just right, just PWP. You know what I'm saying? A short story that includes, in some type of serious way, bearded clam. And we will give you a prize with the image of the bearded clam, whichever Andy and I decide on. Mm-hmm. Whether it be a coffee mug, a mouse pad, something like that. I think we could spring for that, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Once we get above 5 listeners, then we can, I think that'd be all right. So, if you're listening, because I count, let's see, well, Allie listened, and Susan listened, and...
Oh, and I know Blaine did.
And who?
Blaine Cooper.
So let's see. So we know Pixie listens because she loves us. Yeah. All right? So then we got... And Gloria, and then we got Allie, and Susan, and Blaine, and your friend Harlow, right? Yeah. Okay, well, that's 6. And, I've listened 8 or 10 times, and I think you've probably beat me on that.
Only because I've edited. Hello.
So, okay, we're still under 10. So, I tell you what, when we get, how about this? When we get 25 confirmed listeners, then we kick up the marketing program.
There you go.
Well, 25. We need 25. If you listened, let us know. I'll keep count.
Okay, back onto the show.
So, Andy, what are we going to do next time?
We are going to do The Conqueror.
Ooh, conquer me.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, baby. Mm-hmm. We're going to delve into the world of Conqueror stories, and we're going to have a good time with that, I'm sure.
I believe we will, because there's nothing that the Conqueror likes to do more than delve.
With a pretty blonde body slave.
Oh, God. There are some really, really good ones. Here's the challenge. Okay.
Wait a minute. You're throwing out another one? Bearded Clam wasn't enough?
Nobody stepped up for that one.
Well, maybe Allie Volley will. Maybe she's pinning one right now.
God, I hope so.
She really enjoyed the bearded clam,
I hope she does. I would let her pick her prize for that. I'd put the bearded clam on just about anything. So here's the thing. A few years ago, I read a Conqueror fic. I don't remember much about it, except Gabrielle, of course, was the body slave, and they were in the field after a battle, and Xena had a phallus made of ivory. Fucked the shit out of Gabrielle with it. And
when she's dirty and has gore on her and sweat?
No. I think she had been cleaned up and everything. No. Because I'm big on that too. Whenever I read pirate stuff or things where where there's not a hot shower readily available, even when people are having sex first thing in the morning. Oh, I read one today. I was reading with by Kim. I can't remember which one it was, but she came over first thing in the morning and woke her up, and I'm just thinking, but she didn't brush her teeth.
Yeah, she's got morning breath.
It's their first kiss. What the hell? Which one was it? She hadn't been out of bed in 3 days, and then they have sex, and I think there was some going down happening, and I'm just like, she hasn't had a shower. So no, I didn't.
Wait, hold on.
What?
She was in bed for 3 days, like being sick or something?
She was depressed. She was sad.
For 3 damn days laying on a bed?
She was sad and depressed.
Oh, I guess I'll have to cut that out. All right, fine.
It was love,
Ugh.
confusion,
Okay.
all of that shit. So anyway, yeah, that's what was going through my mind. So anyway, back to my challenge. I don't recall the name of the story, who wrote it, or much else about it. I believe, I think Gabrielle had the dragon tattoo, and she had been God damn it, I don't remember much about it, but I remember I've got a thing for dildos and phalluses. So, I do. I enjoy them. And on that note,
it has been a fun show as usual. Thank you, Rev, for your insights and participation.
Yay, thank me. Yay for me.
You're just not shy, are you?
Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.